Welcome to the Times of Industry show. Today's guest is Kent Lewis, who has been featured on several prominent channels and brings some provocative research, to say the least, as to some interesting topics. We thought it would be very interesting to feature Kent if you don't know him, so that listeners could tap into some of these ideas. And we've been chatting offline, off the air, I should say. Some of these ideas are just phenomenal to listen to and open your mind to. And they're not often recited elsewhere, which is an important feature of news these days, because we get probably all of our news from about two sources: Associated Press and other very centralized areas that produce the news. So his website is freedom.social. It's changing now to freedom.buzz. Is that correct?
It is. It'll very soon be www.freedom.buzz.
Cool. So Kent, welcome to the show.
Lior, thank you.
And let's start with, can you share with us a little bit about your background as it pertains to your fascination with the topics that you're going to share with us today?
Lior, I've been in software for about 25 years. I own and manage software companies. Back in the 90s, I was a participant in the invention of real estate transaction standards, or RETS. My companies have processed over $1 billion in rent payments and HOA payments, which is not a big number within that particular industry. But my background nowadays includes blockchain technology and cryptocurrency, and I discovered the facts, undisputable, undeniable facts of what central banks, corporate banks, governments, and corporations are doing specifically with blockchain technology to enslave humanity, in my opinion.
So let's talk a little bit about this. I saw from previous work you did that you talk about the Bilderberg Group and their intention to gain control over Bitcoin. Can you explain to people what is the Bilderberg Group? Why do they want to gain control over Bitcoin, and how factual is the research, and how much of it is your interpretation of certain facts?
Well, the Bilderberg Group only plays a small part in it. Well, let me explain. So there is a company that was formed by the New York Federal Reserve. It's now a private company. It's called Digital Currency Group. Three of their board members are also on the board of governors, including Larry Summers. Digital Currency Group owns everything from Blockstream, the core software development company for Bitcoin. They own Ripple. They control Ethereum, in my opinion. They control Litecoin. They own Coinbase. So all you have to do is look at the different cryptocurrencies in Coinbase to see what they're doing. They own Polynex. Well, they own Circle, who just purchased Polynex. They own Zcash. They own technology that reads public blockchains. So all of this talk about Bitcoin specifically being anonymous is just not accurate. And so in the future, and so that's all fact. So the fact is, undisputable, undeniable fact is the Federal Reserve controls Bitcoin and the top cryptocurrencies and the top cryptocurrency exchanges. So now that's all fact. This is my theory.
Now, where can people, before you go, where can people find those facts?
I wrote a report called The Decentralized Cryptocurrency Nightmare. It's available on www.freedom.social. And I'll also provide you with the link to put in the show notes.
Cool.
But my theory is the UN and countries are going to create regulatory agencies to allow decentralized cryptocurrencies to register to make payments on private blockchains. Because what they have done, fact, is they have tokenized and placed every conceivable product and service in the world on private blockchains. When they did this, the International Organization for Standardization, or International Standardization Organization, ISO.org, created standards for every product and service in the world for blockchain. And then when you go to the store, every product or service will have an RFID chip or an associated barcode. Okay. And it does not matter which cryptocurrency you make payment with, they will be able to track it. They will be able to tax it. Worldwide value added taxes, carbon taxes, you name it. And my prediction is they will come out with the Fed coin very soon.
Now, I want this is very interesting stuff. So, can we talk a little bit about how this all plays out in terms of the public? When does the public start to accept this? Why would they accept this? Is this all based on the fact that the public is ignorant to some of this? How do you see this play out? Usually, big changes like this require massive pain endured by people so that they're open to changes. How did this come into play?
I would have to speculate that they're going to call it a gold-backed currency. Nothing's going to change for the people, except for you're going to be in a cashless society. And initially, you'll have a device or your debit card to make payment with. There'll be no more paper money. Secondly, guys like Jeff Berwick and others say, well, no, this is a threat to the central banks. No, it's not, and here's why. The blockchain and cryptocurrency community only make up approximately 1% of the world's population. They will gladly tax 99% of every transaction that occurs worldwide. And if you're politically incorrect, they'll be able to say, oh, you're not making payments on our private blockchains, or they'll easily be able to fine you, because that's where they're going with this. That's why they're deleting Facebook channels. That's why they're shadow banning people, is they're trying to social engineer society into this new cashless society. But Lior, that's not the worst part of what they're actually doing. This is all about one world government and a one world currency that is based on cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is, in my opinion, the new one world currency based on one world government.
Now, can we live in a market system where profits are the driver of growth? All finance is built on that motive. Therefore, corporations which are owned by individuals like you and I compete with each other for clients, and if they find ways of cutting costs by replacing humans with machines, for example, they will do that all day long. So, how do you propose this problem be solved? I've heard you speak in the past about the fact that automation could displace and put permanently out of work many millions of people. But what is your solution to this?
Well, let me kind of detail what they're doing, and then we can talk about the solution after we understand what they're doing. So, to answer your question, artificial intelligence is going to take over the vast majority of all jobs. That's why they proposed this universal minimum wage for everybody. Okay. And here in America, at least, they are in the process of implementing Agenda 21, UN Agenda 2030. Now, I live outside the mountains outside of Denver. From Fort Collins, north of me, to Pueblo, south of me, in which you've got Denver and Colorado Springs in between, is a 150-mile span. They are currently installing what's called 5G. 5G is very dangerous. The frequencies are dangerous. The radiation is dangerous. But let's put that aside for a second. Okay. So within these smart cities, they are installing smart meters. Now, you have to think into the future towards every conceivable product or service will have an RFID chip, including their ultimate goal is to chip every human and force them into these smart cities. Okay. And so let me take about 5 steps back. Remember the Trans-Pacific Partnership where it was the RNC controlled Senate that voted it in? Okay. So that gave control, essentially sovereignty, it gave the sovereignty of America over to corporations. Okay. So it was the corporations that were going to pretty much rule the world within a technocracy or technocratic style world government. And that's where they're going with this. So as far as profits are concerned, it will be the corporations running the world, or at least that's what they have planned.
Sure. Now, okay. So let's talk about this mission that you're on, and I've heard you talk about the fact that you want to save whoever can be saved, but you have little hope for many. But maybe some people are not ready to be saved. In other words, quote unquote, um, they you know they don't think that they could that they need any saving. Um, there is plenty of discord in the world at any given time. So at any given time, a multitude of the people do not fit with the current state of things. We're a market society, for example, and many people don't fit into a market society. If it was a all sports society, other people won't fit in. And in other words, this society, especially in America, it's built on your abilities and your skills to generate value for others. And sometimes some people are not built that way. What I'm asking you is, what is your solution to these problems that you're raising? In other words, where do you see a way out of this if the world is moving into that direction?
You know, the, the, those who want to choose to live free outside of this coming beast system should be able to have an option or a choice to live outside of this beast system. You know, they're going to force people to buy and sell on a new global payment system. Now, I know for one that most Christians, once they understand this, are not going to want to take a chip in their hand because, in my opinion, that is the mark. Therefore, I created a new platform called www.christian.team, Team, M as in Mary. And, you know, what they're in the process of doing is destroying Christianity, destroying the family, destroying gender identity. And so what I did is I built the Freedom Platform with a technological approach to circumvent what they're doing. It's got decentralized open source marketplaces. I designed a cryptocurrency with a technological approach to circumvent what they're doing. So those who choose not to take this mark, to live outside of the B system, can choose to do so.
Gotcha. Now, okay, so there are products and services that people can use right now. There are some precious metals that are connected with debit cards. There are cryptocurrencies that are backed by precious metals, but it looks like the acceptance of these products is very marginal, very minimal. How does someone live both a very normal life, as part of society, and on the flip side, does not sacrifice um, uh, his entire life to start a crusade into sending people into another direction? How do you, as personally, as an individual, how do you balance these both of these realities that you obviously are living in?
It's, you know, you have to think into the future. Every conceivable product or service will be on private blockchains. So, you know, moving into the future, we're creating Freedom Exchange. We'll have our own cryptocurrency exchange. And we'll see, you know, our ultimate goal is to attach this to a Visa or MasterCard, to whereas you can, you know, purchase products or services on a daily basis. It's just that we do not have a public blockchain viewer. We do not have a private public blockchain. What I did is I created a private blockchain in which requires permission to view. And that's what they're doing, is they're going to be able to read public blockchains and track and tax every one of your transactions. You will have no privacy. But to take Lior, to take this a next step, you know, over on the Freedom platform, we've got extensive research on artificial intelligence. There is a AI called Sophia, and I recently did an interview talking about the human blockchain and artificial intelligence. Well, when after they get as Sophia, and let me quote, semi quote her, what she said up on stage, I should say it, said was, as soon as they complete the superhuman, referring to transhumanism, instead of being up here on stage talking to you, I will just be able to put thoughts into your brains, quote unquote. Okay. So when they complete these smart cities with the 5G, and by the way, we've been being sprayed like bugs with geoengineering and chemtrails of aluminum, strontium, and barium nanotechnology. So every single one of us has, metal in our bloodstream. So, I'm no expert in this area, but it would seem to me if you got metal in your bloodstream, you're a walking antenna. And so when you listen, they tell us everything that they're doing. When they complete these smart cities with the 5G and you have either a microprocessor chip in your brain or RFID chip in your hand, you're a walking antenna. And here's another fact. Anybody listening to this, start up a new browser, put this on pause, and go over and Google this. Google mind control patent. They, in fact, have a patent in which they can modulate the frequency of your device and put thoughts into your brains. Okay? So what's their ultimate objective? Is to turn everybody into transhumans or cyborgs within these smart cities. And that's not conspiracy theory. That's what they are doing.
Now, okay, let's talk about the coming election cycle and how the problem, the current problem in America, which is the wealth gap between the haves and have-nots, how does this come into play during the next election cycle and during the next recession? So there has never been, well, except for a few years during the 30s, a wealth gap in America as big as it is today. Now, couple that with the fact that there is an opportunity gap, which is real. There's a real problem for tens of millions of Americans to reach high income jobs, to get even near the opportunity to get into those high income jobs. At some point, they will feel that capitalism does not work for them anymore, and that moment could be very dangerous for a country that holds the world's reserve currency, privilege and status. How do you see this all coming into your research?
Well, number one, the dollar is no longer the world's reserve currency. They just haven't publicly announced that yet, you know. So let's take a couple steps back. They have intentionally created the wealth gap. They've intentionally turned the entire world economy into a Ponzi scheme. They have intentionally taken over the mainstream fake media. In 1996, President Bill Clinton signed into law the Telecommunications Act, which allowed the media corporations to consolidate from hundreds down into six globalist controlled propaganda arms. In 2013, President Obama signed into law the Defense Authorization Act. Within it was pork that got rid of the 1948 Smith-Mundt Act, which allows the government to legally utilize propaganda on us or fake news. And so what they've done is they've socially engineered and intentionally divided people, so that everything is a polar opposite. Republican, Democrat, black, white, Christian, Muslim, and I could just keep going on and on. So they want a divided country. Okay. And what the plan was to shift everything over to China, to Asia, to the One Belt Road. That's what TPP was all about. And so, you know, the divide is going to, that's what the universal minimum wage is all about. That is what Agenda 2030 is all about. That is what, because they plan on turning everybody into cyborgs managed by artificial intelligence. Okay. That's where they're going with this. I do not play the false left right paradigm of American politics. They are all feathers of the same bird. If you ever notice, they tell you what you want to hear, but nothing really ever changes. Okay. And I am an ultimate patriot. I support my country. But I got to tell you, there's a war, a silent war here in America between the deep state. And, I fought for President Trump to be elected. I'm not 100% sure that he's, um, if it's America first. I think that this QAnon phenomenon, Q is legit. They do give out high level intel that is very accurate. Whether, people have committed treason, in my opinion, like President Obama or Hillary or others, I could keep going with that. But I think it's a distraction for them to complete this 5G, because as soon as 5G is done, it's over. Because not only do they have their 6 media propaganda arms in which they engineer society, then they've got artificial intelligence that is managing humanity, and it's over. So people need to wake up. And to answer your previous question, most people are so brainwashed left or right now and fighting over things that are just not important. What's important is, Lior, here in America, at least what's important is stopping this geoengineering. Today, 1 in 34 kids that go and get a vaccine will get autism. That's just a fact. Our water's poisoned. Monsanto's taken over 90% of our farms. Our food is poisoned. And I could just, Fukushima fish. When is the last time anybody in the world heard anything about Fukushima? Okay. I read a report by an international energy organization the other day towards the vast majority of all the fish are tainted. There's sea lions and wild and sea life washing up on the shores throughout the western United States. When's the last time you heard anything about this? But let's argue about the false left-right paradigm of American politics. I say, let's unite, let's take our country back, let's forget about left-right, and let's just be decent people. That's what I'm about. That's what the Freedom Platform is about. That's what the Christian.team platform is about. It's going to be about uniting people, waking people up. See, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. If I'm going to throw out a theory, I'm going to tell you it's a theory before I come out with it. Otherwise, everything that I've said to you today is fact. So the only way solution around this is to unite, get informed, bring others under the umbrella. And what I've done is I'm partnering with so the Freedom Platform is an action platform. And which I'm doing is I'm bringing in different groups like architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth, the Vax community, free speech communities, Red Pill University with G. Edward Griffin. And we're bringing hundreds of thousands of people together to say, hey guys, you know, freedom in politics is important, but we need to take care of priorities first. And taking care of this 5G and artificial intelligence and vaccines and stopping the geoengineering, that should be our priorities. Taking care of our families and quit arguing about menial things that we have no control over, because they are all feathers of the same bird.
Very interesting, Kent. Can you tell everyone exactly how they can follow you and check out more of your work?
www.freedom.social is our main platform, and then we've got links within that platform. It'll soon be changing over to www.freedom.buzz. We are not a social platform. We are a platform to inform, educate, recruit, and take action. Because if we don't, it's over.
Ken, thanks a lot for taking the time here.
Lior, thank you. I'm a big fan of yours. Keep up the good work.